Portland, Oregon police leadership has bent the knee to progressive partisan ideology. How so? Let's get into it. Here we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch a handful of videos, then we're going to watch a extended video of Portland Police, Chief of Police Bob Day. To bring you up to speed, if you've been living under a rock, what you got going on is you've got the Portland ICE facility in South Portland, a couple of miles south of downtown. They are deporting criminal illegals, and Oregon residents, Portland, Oregon residents, specifically Antifa, aren't having it. They are upset. They are upset, and they are going ham on that ICE facility, meaning it's all boarded up. You got a bunch of graffiti going on. They're firebombing it. You name it. 100 nights of protests, of unrest, of peaceful protests that haven't been so peaceful. And Portland Police Bureau, they've been MIA. I mean, you got all kinds of stuff going on, and the ICE facility is just basically taking care of it on its own with zero support from Portland Police Bureau. Now, Portland Police says, well, we're monitoring the situation. As a bunch of criminal activity, noise ordinance violations, can't get up and down the street. Just zero police activity. And now, all of a sudden, Donald Trump has stated, hey, Portland's on fire. It's a burning city. We got to come in and I'm going to send some National Guard troops in, and they're going to support federal buildings. Federal ICE facility, which he has every right to do and should be done, because local law enforcement isn't doing what they need to do to support basically law enforcement. Let's watch the videos. Here we go.
How about Portland, Oregon, where it looks like a war zone?
The protest outside the ICE facility in South Portland escalating Tuesday night. Video shows Border Patrol agents clearing the driveway for a vehicle. Those agents then standing face to face with protesters. One officer pulls a protester to the ground. Seconds later, 2 people are carried by those ICE agents.
Here's Brandy Cruz.
If you believe President Donald Trump, this is a war zone. If you believe Democratic leadership, what's happening behind me is a complete figment of your imagination. Come to Portland.
Oh,
What's happening, and you can decide for yourself.
There's been some form of protest outside the ICE facility here in Portland every day for more than 100 days. Sometimes it looks like this.
look at how boarded up it is. Here's a handful of clips to kind of exemplify the violence we're talking about that's happening on a nightly basis in Portland, Oregon. And yet, if you believe local leadership, state leadership, there's nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Here's a few of those clips.
Take a look at this video and you're going to see those ICE agents and Border Patrol agents, dozens of them, who began marching down some blocks surrounding the ICE facility. At one point, they tackled someone to the ground before arresting them. Agents also shot pepper balls before retreating back to the ICE facility. All this to say that has been happening after agents clashed multiple times with protesters tonight. The protest outside the ICE facility in South Portland escalating Tuesday night. Video shows Border Patrol agents clearing the driveway for a vehicle. Those agents then standing face to face with protesters. Then one officer pulls a protester to the ground. Seconds later, 2 people are carried by those ICE agents.
But here's the kind of clip that Oregon leadership has you believe this is the true reality of the ICE facility. Middle of the day, no protesters there. It's just calm as can be. Calm as can be. This is from Ron Wyden. He's politician, Oregon. Terrible. Now, if you look at this, it's boarded up. All the windows are boarded up. I wonder why that is. And you've got a bunch of graffiti going on here that's already been painted over. And you got a bunch of graffiti that's, gets power washed off here because Antifa just goes ham on the ICE facilities. And Portland police, they've just basically been hands off. We'll let them deal. Could you imagine if this was the Proud Boys outside of Portland City Hall demanding their resignation for 100 days? Could you imagine what that would look like? It'd be over like that. It'd be over like that. Because this is all about partisan politics. Let's keep going. Wildly different than what we just saw, isn't it? On purpose. On purpose. Even Brandy Cruz exemplifies that in her recent video, 48 hours in Portland, right? Oh, it's so calm and peaceful here. No, it's not. That's just because it's the day. The ghouls will come out at night. See what else we got. Check out this clip. Now, Tina Kotex is in downtown Portland, which is 2 miles to the north of the ICE facility. This is nowhere near where the protests are going on, nor is it where Trump is going to send in the federal troops to do their thing. It's the ICE facility building in South Waterfront area, South Portland, that is in play. It's not downtown Portland, but what she's trying to exemplify, that everything's okay. It's all good. It's fine. There's nothing going on here. And that is the rub, right? That's the rub. That was the rub in 𝗧𝗜𝗘𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗠𝗣𝗕 in Seattle. Hey, let's just let Antifa and Black Lives Matter take over a multi-block section. What could go wrong? Oh, 2 black kids get murdered? Oh, good Lord. Didn't see that one coming, right? And then they just shut it down. City leadership, just like city leadership in Portland, city leadership in Seattle, shut 𝗧𝗜𝗘𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗠𝗣𝗕 and 𝗧 down. Boom. And that's exactly what's happening in Portland, is Portland police, all of a sudden, they're Johnny on the spot because Trump has said, hey, we're going to send some troops in. Enjoy. Let's hear what Governor Kotex has to say.
This afternoon with Oregonians across the city of...
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Oregon, Governor Kotek here. I am downtown this afternoon with Oregonians across the city of Portland on the waterfront, walking peacefully because we are here to protest military intervention in the city of Portland. We are proud, we are peaceful, we are united, and we are Oregon.
What's so fantastic about all this, and fantastic, I mean, not in a great way, but in a what? We doing what? Is that ICE is literally deporting criminal illegal aliens from our communities. People that have committed crimes, people that shouldn't be here. Illegals. They're getting rid of them. They're doing what they're supposed to do. That is what ICE does. That is their function. And Portland is just hell-bent because it's a partisan deal, because Trump is in office. That's what this is all about. We don't support so you don't support law and order? Well, local, we're not supporting federal. And they don't have to, right? They take an oath to support law and order, but the rub is that you get into, arguments about federal versus local. And local police is saying that they're not going to support defending the ICE building because they don't believe that what ICE is doing is moral or ethical. And they are literally deporting and they're holding criminal illegals. So you tell me, which side of the thing do you want to be on? And if there was anybody that was, a legal citizen that had been deported illegally, hey, we'd be hearing about it all day long. And that is just not the case, is it? Give me a name of somebody that has been proven to have been tossed by ICE that shouldn't have been. And specifically in Portland, give me a handful of names. Let's look them up. Let's talk about them. Now, those people, you'd have those images blasted to you over and over and over by mainstream media. That isn't happening, right? That is not happening. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about we just don't like the federal government right now. Portland doesn't like the federal government right now because that's Trump. That's partisan politics. Let's hear what Bob Day has to say. We're gonna go to the highlight sections here. It's about a 20-minute talk that he did recently.
All right. You mean to talk for a minute or hold up a piece of white paper, which I've never understood why that matters, but
Bob, that matters because that's how you get your camera to go to accurate white balance. It's a video thing. All right.
I know that it does for you folks. We good to go? Everybody ready? Well, good afternoon. Thanks for gathering with us today. Just want to highlight a couple of things over the last 24, 48 hours. Continue to be really proud of the work of the Portland Police Bureau, really proud of the way the Portlanders are showing up in these unprecedented times, recognizing the difference of opinions and the desire to express those opinions.
As long as they're not conservative, as long as they're progressive. That's what we're talking about. Again, this were the Proud Boys, we wouldn't be having this issue because Portland police would just day one, day two. It'd be game over, absolute game over. But Portland police has allowed this to fester because they are under that ideology that ICE is bad. Well, ICE is bad right now because it's the federal government. It's under Republican control. So how you like them apples? So this is what they're doing.
Yesterday, Portland Police Bureau monitored two significant public order events, one down at Waterfront Park, another one down at the ICE facility in South Waterfront. I want to recognize the great work of our dialogue liaison officers. These are the officers that have received additional training. They wear the
Okay, let's keep going.
way. We saw that last night down at the facility, car pull for assault, one adult for assault 3, as well as in the reduction of crime. But we will not accept or tolerate people coming down to South Waterfront for the purpose of engaging in violence. So fighting in the street, fighting amongst one another, whether or not it's agreed upon behavior between the individuals is not permissible by law.
Okay.
We will make arrests, and I spoke with the district attorney today, and we will assure prosecution and follow through for that activity. We know that down at the facility, there are a lot of competing points of view and a lot of differences of opinion. And last night we saw that played out more in the crowd and less directed towards the issues at the facility. So we are engaged both in making sure that all of South Waterfront remains a safe, viable place for people to be able to live, play, and thrive.
And yet, there's been lawsuit by Cloud, I forget her last name, and she basically stated, hey, I can't sleep. You got violation of noise ordinances. It's not allowing me to sleep. City of Portland said, nope, you're wrong. And they're allowing this to continue. So local residents that live literally adjacent to or across the street from the ICE facility, they are literally in a war zone. But let's just ignore that because that doesn't really fit the progressive narrative here.
And I just want to emphasize that we're not going to be tolerating that behavior. We will have additional resources designated this evening and be evaluating on a nightly basis as to what level of presence that includes, along with the Portland Police Bureau. I want to remind us also that we're not engaging in immigration enforcement or the facilitation of that facility in line with the federal officers. So we are continuing to abide by state law, but adhering to Portland's values in responding to both violence and vandalism.
On a partisan basis. Because again, if this was flipped, this would be a wildly different story. This wouldn't be a story because it'd be over. It'd be done. Just, not tolerating that. That is political violence. Proud Boys are terrible. They're awful. They're violent. Even if they're just out there with signs. This would be just boom, over and done.
With that, I'll start taking some questions.
Now, the protest at the ICE facility, does it warrant the deployment of the National Guard?
Well, I don't believe that it does. No. At this point, the actions that Portland Police Bureau demonstrated last night, we were able to manage that. We probably highlighted maybe 200 folks total down there last night. We were able to make a couple of arrests. Once those arrests were made, crowd quickly dissipated. So I'm confident that the resources of the Portland Police Bureau can manage incidents and actions that are occurring down there in South Waterfront.
And I think they can too. But you haven't done that. leadership, state leadership, city leadership has not allowed Portland Police Bureau to basically go in there and clear the streets. Cut off the noise ordinance stuff, just the anarchy that's been going on in the name of peaceful protesting. There's that fine line in there, right? And I get that. You are able to peacefully protest. I have no issues with that. But when you got sound stuff going on, when you're graffitiing up a federal building, when you are smashing in the windows of a federal building, which would be happening if they weren't all boarded up, different story, wildly different story. But we're ignoring all that because it doesn't fit the narrative.
Chief, until last night, no one had been arrested by Portland police down at these protests since, I believe, June. So what changed? Why this new approach?
Yeah, so I believe the last arrest was late June, as you mentioned. We made a decision at that point to be more engaged from a monitoring standpoint. So it wasn't as if we were ignoring the situation down there. We were. Well,
you kind of were, because you weren't there. That's called ignoring it. There's been plenty of incidents where there's just some wild stuff going on, and you've been MIA. You've just been missing, because that is what's been directed by state and city leadership. Hey, let the ICE facility sort itself out. And that's where Trump is saying, hey, if we're not going to have support from local police, then we got to send the federal troops in. And that is what's going on. Federal troops are in, where are they right now? I think Eugene and Salem, something like that. Their facilities there, they're going through some training, and then they'll be dispersed to this facility to protect the federal building, because Portland Police Bureau has basically not been there, as evidenced by what Chief Day is saying.
Directing our members to regularly patrol the area to respond to calls for resistance. But in the months of July and August, we saw a limited amount of public order matters. Most of the conflict that was occurring specifically on ICE property and with the ICE facility, which I believe is the responsibility of the federal law enforcement. So we did not see the level of violence that we saw last night on a regular basis. And so that's why we're re-emphasizing and reprioritizing some of our attention down there. Certainly the events of the weekend also led to that. We would be naive, if not negligent, in our duty in recognizing the President of the United States designating 200 Oregon National Guardsmen as well as the additional federal police officers. So we have a responsibility to be engaged in that, and that's why we've reprioritized some of our efforts down there.
So you've reprioritized efforts because you haven't done your job, which is public safety, on a consistent enough basis, and you've let these numbnut Antifa members, which, from a partisan standpoint, a few years ago basically said was a myth. And all of a sudden, oh, yeah, not so much, right? That's who you've got there. You've got Antifa there. Rose City Antifa, one of the biggest Antifa organizations, and they are organized. They just pretend they're not. And Democrats just give them a hall pass because, yeah, they're on the left side of things, right? Again, if this was the Proud Boys, we wouldn't even be having this talk, because it wouldn't be a situation. Portland Police Bureau would have handled it if the Proud Boys got out of line. Oh, it would have been handled. But no, we just allow this to happen. And we saw this. I was down in Portland during the Summer of Love. Same exact thing. It's mostly peaceful. And, there's a Antifa dude outside the ICE building with a hammer as a ICE officer comes marching out in full, military gear. It's going to beat him in the head. Remember that? Remember that mostly peaceful moment? Yeah, whole lot of that, right?
Since this news broke, that you're like, I just wish people understood it.
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is, and it's been highlighted so many times so well, but I just want to emphasize, this is one city block. City of Portland is about 145 square miles. This is one city block. And even the events that are happening down there do not rise to the level of attention that they are receiving. We are seeing this true for our society in whole. I'm not going to try and editorialize too much, but these 30-second, 20-second, 15-second clips that are brought in from months ago or maybe even years ago. We've seen Portland portrayed through the events of the lens of 20 and 21. And what's actually happening and the response that we're seeing both from Portlanders and from the Portland Police Bureau is not in line with that national narrative. And it is frustrating, but we're going to.
What's the national narrative? What did Trump tweet? Let's take a look. Yeah, here's that tweet from Ron Wyden. He's that guy who, hey, nothing to see here. The request of Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, I'm directing Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any of our ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other domestic terrorists. Okay. I'm also authorizing full force if necessary. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So where's the disconnect there? Is all of Portland on fire? No. Is it war-ravaged? No. But that's also not what he's saying. He's saying there's a war going on in Portland, which there is, and any of the ICE facilities, that one specifically in the South Waterfront area, right? South Portland. That's what we're talking about. So the national narrative that they're trying to avoid is that, hey, nothing to see here. It's all good. Here, let me walk with my wife or girlfriend and show you how great it is, and nothing to see here.
I continue to stay the course. I said this on Saturday. The actions of the federal government and others doesn't change the resolve that the Portland Police Bureau has to continue to provide the highest level of safety and security and service to Portlanders.
Safety and security to Portlanders. But ICE is deporting criminal illegals. So which side of safety for Portlanders are you on? What are you talking about here? What direction are you going here? Because not everybody is a Democrat in Portland. I don't know if, viewership knows this. Not everybody is a Democrat in Portland. There's quite a few Republicans. They just don't have a very big voice. And there's enough Looney Tune progressive just nut jobs in Portland that is why leadership goes down this road of, we got to preserve public safety at all costs. You mean the federal government deporting criminal illegals? You're going to prevent that? You need to protect against that? Okay. All right. Okay. That makes no sense, but whatever.
Also had a budget directive that said we want to limit police overtime use on things like monitoring protests. How do you reconcile that with this? Or what's changing, if anything?
Yeah, so I had that conversation with the mayor this morning.
Question being overtime for police officers. Keep in mind, Portland Police Bureau they have probably less per capita. They have less officers than Seattle. And a lot of that has to do when you have attitude toward law and order like Portland does right now, being dictated by state and local officials to basically say, we're not going to uphold federal law. We're not even going to help because, we don't believe that's against our belief system. We want to keep criminal illegals within our community because that's what we believe in. When you've got that going on, pretty difficult to recruit law enforcement officers. It's difficult to recruit cops. Morale is low right now in Portland because they're supposed, you take an oath to uphold the law. And that is not what's happening. You've got this conflict. I believe law enforcement should be on the same side, which is upholding the law, actually upholding public safety. Everybody should be on the same team. But in Portland, in Seattle, California, it's become so partisan. And it's obvious. Everybody knows the game that's being played. We can all see the videos, right? We know what's going on a nightly basis. And leadership, Democrat leadership, progressive Democratic leadership wants you to believe that, hey, nothing to see here. It's all good. And you're like, what? What are you talking about? You're not even in the right area, nor are you there during the protests. You want to go stand there in the middle of one of those, when you got the smoke bombs going off, you got the flashbangs going off, and tell me nothing's going on? Perfect. Give me that footage. Give me that footage, Governor Kotex.
Their mandate and their bosses and their organizational plans, which we are not privy to. But I don't have reason to believe that in and of themselves would instigate, but I know that the perception and the presence of is certainly concerning to Portlanders. And it was made really clear this weekend with Senator Merkley and others, that we don't take the bait, that we look for ways to direct our interest, our passion, our frustration into other ways. I think this is an opportunity for Portland. And rather than saying what we can't do or what we shouldn't do, let's talk about what we can do. If you're frustrated and you feel
you can arrest people when they break the law. How about that? How about that? How about that? Oh, no, we're monitoring from a distance. We're just going to monitor from a distance. Guaranteed. And I'm beating a dead horse here. If the Proud Boys were there, let's say the 3%ers were there. Anybody that's a little bit right of center, right? If they were there, you'd have a police presence there. Johnny on the spot. Guaranteed. Because that's what leadership would dictate. Oh, you got to keep Portland safe from those Proud Boys. We've got to protect from the political violence of the Proud Boys. You'd have cops there immediately. Immediately. But you don't, because you're okay with what Antifa's doing.
Feeling hopeless, you're feeling like you don't have a voice. This is a chance to engage in public service. This is a chance to volunteer. This is a chance to reach out. We have so many opportunities that in and of themselves would instigate, but I know that the perception and the presence of is certainly concerning to Portlanders. And it was made really clear this weekend with Senator Merkley and others, that we don't take the bait, that we look for ways to direct our interest, our passion, our frustration into other ways. I think this is an opportunity for Portland. And rather than saying what we can't do or what we shouldn't do, let's talk about what we can do. If you're frustrated and you're feeling hopeless, you're feeling like you don't have a voice, this is a chance to engage in public service. This is a chance to volunteer. This is a chance to reach out. We have so many opportunities and needs as a community that we can take that frustration or that dissidence and maybe channel it towards something that's more productive versus focus.
So what Bob's talking about is the community, the progressive Democrat supporting community as a whole. Got to remember, over half the country didn't vote that way, but Portland did. And that's what we're talking about. Partisan politics, right? That's what we're talking about. Hey, a lot of folks voted for Trump. They didn't vote for Kamala.
Well, my understanding is, based upon the conversation I've had this weekend, is they will be implemented for site security, so building security, federal buildings. You have a series of federal buildings downtown, not just the ICE facility, but Edith Green next door and the U.S. Attorney's Office next door. I am speculating right now, so, I don't have anything official that says what their role is going to be, but that's the inference that's been conveyed to us, is that it'll be in the area of site security. So we'll have to see what that looks like.
And that's all Trump has said. We're securing the federal ICE buildings. Period. He's not going to have ICE running through the streets. He's basically there to secure federal property because that is not happening. Clearly, when you've got a boarded up building, basic safety isn't happening. Not that hard to figure out. And this is typical of not only Portland, but of Seattle as well. Any one of these big blue liberal cities that has a strong Antifa presence, they're going to bash the windows out of ICE buildings. That's just what happens.
Like, as I said, this is new territory for us, new territory for the state, and we're just going to have to kind of take it day by day. I've been in regular communication in the last 24, 48 hours with the governor and with the mayor. Very appreciative of their support, their outreach. We are working very collaboratively as a city and as a state. I've been super encouraged at the lines of communication, the information sharing, and the cohesiveness we're seeing as we see both politics and operations collide here, right? We have practical things that are happening on the ground where Portlanders have a right to feel safe. And then we also have a lot of
Portlanders have a right to feel safe by having criminal illegals deported. And that's what ICE is doing. So this whole thing about feeling safe is such a misnomer. If you're here legally and if you haven't broken the law, They're not going to scoop you up and get rid of you. Period. Again, if you had people that had happened to who'd been arrested, be all over the news, wouldn't it? Hey, look at that guy. He got arrested. He's a citizen. He hasn't broken any laws, and he got arrested, and he's being deported. Is that happening? Is that going on at all? If it is, show me. Show me the footage. Show me the clips. Well, no, it's just not. So all of this is just, it's partisan politics.
Politics going on behind the scenes, which is not lost on any of us. And so we find this blending between the political and the operational challenging, but I'm grateful for both the governor and the mayor's support and confidence in us. Yeah.
Who are both wildly progressive liberals, right? So there you go. Bob Day on board with progressive politics.
Chief, a lot of us can see what's happening in Portland present day, but can you kind of verbalize and compare the summer of 2020 George Floyd to now and describe the difference?
Yeah, there's, not just 5 years of time, but it's really night and day. And a couple of things I would highlight that are significantly different. One, Portland was very isolated, and the Portland Police Bureau was very isolated in 2020.
Police in general were isolated because the whole fentanyl Floyd issue happened, and everybody pointed at police and said, "You're the bad guy." Well, now in big blue liberal Democrat-run cities, they're saying federal ICE officials and facilities, they're the bad guy. So focus has been taken from local police and police in general to ICE specifically because they're federal, and Trump won the last election. So
Police Bureau was isolated from much of city and city government and city leadership. And really, Portland was isolated from the state as many people pulled back and really just saw what was happening in the city and were frustrated or disappointed. And as I just mentioned,
Well, what did they see was happening in the city? Was there a spate of police killings? In 2019, there was 13 black people, black men that had been killed. Unarmed black men that have been killed by police officers. And the vast majority of even those 13 out of a population of 300-something million. I mean, yeah, what's going on? Whole thing, it's politics. It's straight up partisan politics.
These public order events, and couldn't be more grateful for that and seeing how that's being applied in real time, focusing on crowd management, crowd support, less about crowd control, doing the outreach ahead of time. And we're seeing groups respond to that. We're seeing organizers reaching out to us and connecting with us and us being able to touch places that we haven't in the past.
So you're dealing with Antifa. You're organizing with Antifa. I get it. Because when's the last, even right-wing protest? When did that happen? When was the last event that happened? Can't remember. You know what I mean? A major event. Just haven't had any in Portland. So, because if we had, I'd probably go down there and live stream it.
But the message of the Portland Police Bureau is we're going to stay fixed on our goals. We're transforming the dynamic between the police and the people we serve. We're reducing crime and the fear of crime, and we're focused on organizational growth and development. We've been doing that for 2 years. We're going to continue to do that as long as I'm in this chair.
So there's that fine line between supporting law and order and not supporting federal, because federal's on the wrong side of the political spectrum that you support. And that's what we've got going on, clearly throughout the country. You got Brandon Johnson in Chicago, just all up Twitter, because he's got National Guard coming in and taking out a bunch of gang members, foreign national gang members, right? 𝗧𝗓𝗏. So tell me how that works. You've got ICE coming in and deporting literally criminal gang members from other countries, and you're upset about it as a mayor of a North American city. How's that work? How does that work? Being upset that ICE within Portland, Oregon is doing their job and you don't support it, you instead support the nut jobs out on the street in front of the federal building who are so violent that you have to board up the building. You support them instead of the surrounding residents and the community in general, because what ICE is doing is deporting, rounding up criminal illegals, getting rid of them. Simple as that. Not that hard to figure out. So it's disappointing to see that this is where Portland Police Bureau has ended up, but also it's not all that shocking, is it? No, it's just not. This is the state of affairs in big blue cities across the United States. Could you imagine if this was Oklahoma City in Oklahoma? You know what Governor Stitt would do? He would drop the hammer on this nonsense. And he would say, we fully support law and order. We will give whatever support federal ICE agents need, period, done, end of story. So am I. Thanks so much for being here. Love to have you subscribe, do all that good stuff. I'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.